Speed! No, not that kind of speed, you rapscallion, is a trait that everyone will always have all the time, every time you play. It's been introduced in aetherdrift, and it will always be at 0 every single time you open up a game, and it will never be calculated until one or more cards introduce it to the game. The first time in a game you control a permanent with the Start Your Engine's ability, your speed becomes 1, and you get this nifty little card tracker to keep track of it. Also, I've made one on my Patreon, so join there if you want to get these cool tokens and stuff. This happens immediately and cannot be responded to, so your friends can't try to remove the permanent before you pick up said speed. The highest speed is 4. Well, why 4? I don't know. Ask one of the worst mechanics in the game. Once your speed is 1, 2, or 3, you can trigger certain abilities to increase your speed. This happens whenever one or more opponents lose life during your turn. If your speed is less than 4, you increase your speed by 1. This ability triggers only once each turn. So for the rest of the game, it can be triggered as long as your speed is less than 4, no matter what, who, or how many permanents you control. Once your speed is 4, you have now achieved max speed, and your speed can't go any higher. Some cards have abilities that care if you have max speed, as seen here on Risen Necro Regent. So when you have, as stated here, max speed, at the beginning of your end step, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. If you don't have the max speed of 4, this will not trigger. Once you reach that max speed, it'll start to trigger every turn. Now, speaking of the Ring Tempts You, Starter Engines as a progressing player status you can have is kind of like a stripped down version of the Ring Tempts You and the Initiative, both mechanics that were not introduced in a standard set. So Start Your Engines is a little less funky than either of those and is a bit easier to understand. You have no speed and then you can build it to 4 and then that's it, and your stuff triggers. That's essentially how it goes. Cards may reference your current speed and reward you based on that number, as seen here on Point the Way. So you can pay 3 and a green, sacrifice the enchantment, and search your library for up to X basic land cards, where X is your speed. Put those cards in battlefield tapped. And then shuffle, right? So stuff like that is going to be part of the set. Now for the rulings that you may or may not have missed. If you haven't started your engines, you don't have any speed yet, and then that number is just 0. A player has max speed if their speed is 4. Start Your Engines is not a triggered ability, and if you don't know what a triggered ability is, check out my video right here. Increase your speed to 1 is something that happens as a state-based action as soon as you control a permanent with the ability. Notably, this includes gaining control of a permanent with the ability that another player controls. And if you don't know what a state-based action is, check out my other video right here. Your speed does not change until a spell or ability says so, such as the inherent triggered ability that cares about opponents losing life during your turn. Notably, losing control of permanents with Start Your Engines does not affect your speed. Each player tracks their speed, or lack thereof, separately. Increasing your speed has no effect on whether another player has speed. If an effect needs to know what a player's speed is, and that player doesn't have any speed yet, their speed is just considered 0. Max speed ability means as long as you have max speed, this object has that ability. If the granted ability functions in a zone other than the battlefield, the max speed ability does too. So I hope that all cleared up Start Your Engines and max speed, both of which are tied together. Let me know down in the comments if I missed anything or if you have any questions. And while you're down there, check out the affiliate links in the description, and don't forget to join me next week for your weekly dose of magic.